Hi, my name is Jaycianna, and at NAYC in 2019, God gave me my calling. On the last night of NAYC, since we had floor seats, we were able to go up to the platform to worship with everyone else that was on the floor. Well, me and my youth group all went up to go worship together, and at one point in the service, they had told us to stop crying, just be happy and worship, jump up and down, because that was just the moment that we were having, and it was just what we were doing at that moment. Well, I kept noticing this girl that kept crying, and I'm just like, we're not supposed to be crying right now, girl. We're supposed to be jumping. Well, she just kept crying, and I felt God pull me towards her. So I went to her and I held her hand and I jumped around and I prayed with her. I prayed for her, and she just kept crying and kept crying. Well, it's 10 full minutes later, and she's jumping now, but she's still just weeping. So because I seen her jumping, I went back to my youth group and I went worship with them again. Well, I'm continuously looking towards her way, and she's still just weeping. So I went back to her and I grabbed her head. And I just took her in my arms and I prayed for her like I hadn't prayed for anyone before. Like, if you know me, this is not me. I do not do this. But something just took over me at that moment, and I grabbed her and I just prayed for her, and she continued to weep in my arms, and then she started falling to the ground, so I'm going to the ground with her. Well, by this point, she's still weeping, but she's starting to open her eyes now, because she hadn't opened her eyes. She's starting to open her eyes now, and she is just crying, and she couldn't stop crying. So I'm just praying to God that she just gets what she needs, because she's just absolutely sobbing. She's giving her everything. So after a little while, she finally starts to get up and she's worshiping, and she's not crying as much anymore, but all she could do was just thank me, and she's hugging me and telling me thank you. So I went back to my youth group and we were praying together, and suddenly I just was weeping. I couldn't stop crying. I didn't know like what was going on, and I started crying. Like, I was weeping, and my youth pastor's wife walked up to me and she started praying for me, and then she told me what my calling was, which was a calling for the Spanish community. And if you don't know, and after she's told me my calling, our youth group is still praying and everything, and the girl that I was praying for, she came back up to me, and she was still telling me thank you and everything, and she was just telling me how thankful she was for me to be praying with her, and she asks me for my number, and I'm just like, yeah, it's fine, let me go grab my phone, we'll exchange numbers, and we still text to this day every once in a while just to see how each other's doing. But that following Sunday, after NAYC, my youth pastor's wife, the one who told me my calling, her parents were in town from Venezuela. I was praying, and she came up to me and asked me to pray with them. So I prayed with them, and they ended up receiving the Holy Ghost. And from that, God was just strategically placing things in my life that helped me with my ministry.